Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me again this morning. It is Monday and it is first trading day in October. It is October 2nd, 2023. So we've got our MMRI risk indicator up, and I think it's almost time we need to create another color that would go beyond the extreme risk, because it just looks like we're just going to kind of hang around in this area for a while until something big happens. So we are still above the 300 range. And the elements of that we're watching is the US 10-year yield coupled with the Dixie index, which is the comparative strength of the US dollar. So we've got a couple of things going on with the market. It's pretty mixed at the moment, but futures kind of looking bullish, and meaning they're going to go green into the positive. So we've had some pressure on precious metals, and there probably will be a little bit more. So we're getting into some buying opportunities, some pretty good prices up ahead before they begin their, I think they're going to go up eventually. We've got crude oil hanging around 92, and it's also got some interesting supply and demand issues that I think will continue and increase after this bit of pullback. So the sentiment right now for the stocks, they nickname this Uptober because October is typically better after the September crush, and September was terrible again. So right now the market's kind of mixed to bullish, and we've got a few things that have happened behind that. So looking at the stars, we've got these came out as I was about to put this out. Anxiety is high as the stock market falls and bond yields rise. So we talked about why that affects it. And then we've got the US stock futures rise after the government shutdown was averted. So they averted it in the 11th hour with a 45-day stopgap. So another 45 days, we're going to go through this again. So we had the other one talk about how the treasury yields jump because of the same story. So we also had Bitcoin jumped. So this is all kind of playing in with this market, and I want to urge caution because it looks like a lot more people are becoming bullish, and I think this is not a longer term thing. We have to trade the market in front of us. So for now, it looks bullish, whether it's dead cat bounce, how long it's going to last. But there is still some problems in the underlying structure. And so I'm waiting until a lot of people get bullish, and that's when I'm going to go into the other side, because this boat will start to get unloaded on the other side. So with the calendar today, we are expecting PMI, manufacturing, and also construction spending. Expecting construction spending to drop. This is for August, so might show a drop in August, but definitely for the reports after that. We've got this other story about the US bond market signaling the end of an era, meaning easy, cheap money. So we're going to stay with that higher for longer. And as long as we were talking about this, as long as credit and capital become expensive, it's going to have some pressure on the economy. And we've got the dollar's resurgence is a headache for the rest of the world because as of right now, it's still the reserve currency, has not been deposed yet. And so other countries still have to purchase with the dollar. And if the dollar is strong, it's much more expensive for them. And it's harder for them to get dollars. So I've got a couple of stories in the fintech world. As we were saying, Bitcoin price was up today. And they're basically talking about the government shutdown. But the more important story behind this is that more people with the regulation that is coming in are seeing cryptocurrency, and specifically Bitcoin, as an asset to move their money into. So it's still very volatile, and it's not like the safe haven of gold or silver, but it's another space that when the stocks go down, could go here. I think cryptocurrency will take a bit of a hit at that time, but I think there's going to be a lot of money flowing into this sector pretty soon here. So along with that, we've got basically the largest exchange, or one of the largest exchanges, is Coinbase. They now have a payment license in Singapore. And I think they're one to watch because right now with their stock price, they do have an edge, because in one of those lines of the regulation for the United States, that they are looking for all of these ETFs that are vying for regulation and approval, is that they must name an exchange. Well, there's not very many exchanges. So I think that as soon as some of these are named, I'm looking at Coinbase is one of the main contenders, and a lot of money will be flowing into that because that's where you're talking about your big money, your pension funds, your trust, that type of stuff. Okay, moving on, I would like to talk about United States small and medium businesses. They're hurting, and these are the lifeblood of the United States economy. So this flows out to the rest of the world as well. So, in the story about McDonald's and others, a new rule that could destroy the franchise model. Basically, what they're getting at is they're looking at, if you don't know what the franchise model is, it's basically where your regular guy can go and purchase a business, get all of the branding, and then run a small store as McDonald's, and it's their store. Well, this basically would make them responsible for all of their employees collectively. So it subjects them to the same issues and risks as larger corporations as far as strikes, unionization, and some other issues. So I think this is a very bad thing. It subjects them to government regulation, which I'm not a fan of, and could really take a hit in that sector. So we'll watch that. We've also got, we've been talking about Airbnb, how weak it is, and it's going to affect not just as a small business, but the rental market, because as they come on the market, these people that did not get the good loans at 3-4%, they're at 6-7 and higher percent for their mortgages because they're all as investor. So he's saying that he would like to fix the model basically behind Airbnb, but what he cannot fix is that discretionary spending and holiday traffic is going down. So as they face these headwinds, people are no longer spending to go out, and hotels are now less expensive. I don't know, maybe there will be a turn in this one because the hotels will be full of homeless and migrants, so people will have to use Airbnb. You know, you never know. This plot always has a twist to it. So I wanted to talk about this story as well. We've got the Chinese payment company called Helipay. So they're in talks with major Russian banks to set up cross-border transactions. So what this will do, obviously, is facilitate their trade. It'll make it much faster, higher volume. And so this basically is just setting up this direct line for what is going on for between the BRICS nations and the decline of the dollar as a reserve currency. Again, not an overnight thing, but just a long-term thing to keep in mind. If you don't mind at this time and you haven't yet, please hit the like button. Just a quick reminder. Thank you kindly for all of you that do support me. I really need it. Okay, I do have one lava update that I wanted to go over, and this is the Indonesian president. So he is declaring the operation of the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway. So great accomplishment. But the underlying story really of this that I wanted to point out, this is kind of wrapped in with the part of the Belt and Road Initiative. And the way that they work this in general is that China will back the project, in this case, the high-speed railway, with their loans. So the people of the country will have to donate the lands, the materials, and the labor. And then once they take these loans, the high interest, they can no longer pay them. China takes the asset in payment for the loan. This is very typical. And they've been doing this with ports across the world, around the world, and also areas that are prime land, so they can have military bases. And you know, I'm going to give them credit for this. However, they were not the initiators of this. They did learn this from a larger company, a larger country, and so this is kind of how they expand kind of their borders and their holdings. And it just so happens that this high-speed railway will be crossing through an area that they would very much like to get through to increase trade routes. So just want to leave you with that so you can think about that. And with that, I wish you a great trading day, just a wonderful day in general. And thank you so much. Until I see you again, my friends, stay free.